Hey, this is Nick here again with the market update for this week. Uh, we'll start off here with the postings on the load board. We've got a little bit of an increase, not too much from last week, up towards the average for the year. Uh, my guess is that's going to stay pretty consistent, maybe even drop off a little bit towards the end of the year, um, with harvest wrapping up. Uh, we'll skip over to some of the harvest numbers here for the fall crops. Corn and soybeans are about done on the tail end of harvest. Um, a lot of that is now in elevators and other facilities and being processed as well. Same goes with the sugar beets, and cotton is not progressing quite as much as the other crops. Um, You'll probably see more of this here towards the end of the year with cotton production, um, and the peanuts and sunflowers as well. Once the main harvest of the corn and beans are done there, um, as well. We'll look at the rates on some of these products. I saw a 4% increase in grain, so pretty modest increase there. Uh, I'd say those are gonna level off as well with the load numbers, as a lot of the out of field um, trucking needs are gonna start going down. But with how much product was harvested this year, I'd say there's gonna be a lot of bouncing around and a lot of moving grain throughout the United States before it reaches its end end user and being processed as well. Fertilizer was down just a little bit as well. Um, I'd say we'll get more of this coming towards the end of the year here. Uh, People applying uh, nitrogen and other micronutrients towards the end of the year for next fall or next spring for planting. Uh, as well, we're supposed to see quite a bit of moisture coming in here towards the end of the month across the central United States. A lot of the crop ground that's been pretty dry here lately. Uh, if it has been harvested, you'll see a lot of worked fields working in nitrogen for next spring. Feed ingredients saw a little bit bigger decrease, um, although it's stayed pretty consistent here. Since April, not too many big jumps. So I'd say until January here, we're probably not going to see too much of a change with that. We'll go over here to the diesel prices. Not much change from last week. About 20% cheaper than it was this time last year. With election coming up here this next week, it'll be interesting to see what that trend line does towards the end of the year. Um, if if the current administration, if they just keep up their policies, or if Trump gets elected, possibly opening up some domestic oil reserves and oil drilling, could see a drop in those prices as well. I talked about last week some alternative fuels, so I thought I'd do some pricing with cost per mile for electric versus diesel. You can see that electric's got a little bit of a advantage, about 10 cents per mile uh, less than diesel for cost of operation. Everything I've seen, unless you buy the most expensive Tesla truck, which has a range of around 500 miles, that'll limit your number of miles ran per day. So if you're going to take advantage of that, you'll need to use a system or a product where you stay within that 500 miles, um, just to make sure you get the most of your day in running. As well, I looked at the fuel efficiency of the Class 8 trucks in recent times. We've seen a modest increase from 5.9 to 6.2, just about 4% increase. It'd be interesting to see. Like I said, election is going to have a lot to do with this. if emission standards keep increasing, if that's going to hurt or help the efficiency on fuel mileage, or if there's going to be a push to use those alternative fuels to be a change in emissions uh, over the total fleet, the U.S. fleet. Something I wanted to bring up here. I was talking with our insurance agents here at Bulk Loads and Bulk Insurance Group. Um, I just wanted to play around with this a little bit to see, number of roadside inspections, which has a lot to do with your cab scores. You can see the states, California, Texas, New York, Florida have quite a few inspections. A lot of that is going to be, ports. There's a lot more trucks running through those regions. Those, I believe, Texas and California have the highest number of operating authorities as well. So you could um, kind of expect those to be outliers there. But then when you get into the Great Lakes region, a lot of trade going on there, Canada, U.S., and the ports as well. So a few more inspections there. Once you get more west, as you'd expect, just fewer number of people. The number of inspections go down quite a bit. The other one I was looking at is the out of service violations with those inspections. You can see here. I mean, the big one you see is Nebraska. Not a lot of inspections, but a pretty high observed out of service on vehicle violations. Um, Not sure if that's just the climate that those are in, or uh, because there's a lot of operations there that only use those trucks and trailers part time. If there's a little bit of maintenance and neglect on those, causing those things, I'd say that has some effect on your insurance rates, especially by city and state. Uh, as well, the other map that was pretty interesting is the number of crashes involving large trucks in 2024. Uh, they're in the southeast. If you live down there, it's quite hard to get competitive insurance. I'd say this has something to do with that, especially Texas and California. Um, if you, We have the link there at the bottom. I would definitely check that out. Like if you're in Texas, the number of wrecks in the Houston area, San Antonio, or Dallas are outrageous, causing the rest of the insurance rates to go up. And if you're in those cities and counties, it's very difficult to find insurance, and if it is, it's probably not very competitive as well. Uh, but you keep those in mind if you are open to moving around, or uh, if you're in the bulk commodity space, if you can stay over the line and get a little bit cheaper insurance just based on the state or location, that might be a way to save some money, especially when you know the areas to avoid, uh, and also the inspection rates. If you're not quite up to par, but need to get some stuff done, uh, those number of roadside inspections, you can definitely look at that map there as well. We'll move on here a little bit to the loads by origin trends. With harvest moving along pretty well, you're seeing a lot more of the out of field loads coming down a little bit. More of that grain is moving towards the east, being processed, going to larger cities and facilities to be processed or made into animal feed, ethanol plants, stuff like that. Uh, as you can see, the south and east were growing in load numbers as the central and west declined just a little bit there. Another thing with the election, emissions issues is always going to be a big thing. Like I've said time and time again, cost to cost to run a truck has not helped anyone. Rates are about the same as they were, but the as you can see on this slide here, the pricing of trucks and trailers are pretty outrageous there. I went on a pretty popular truck listing page to get some of these pricings on trailers and trucks. Um, but I've always been told by my father, you're either going to make it in payments or you're going to make it in maintenance. Something to think about is, those out of service violations on the last page. You're not going to have to worry about that as much with a new truck and trailer, and you got to weigh the risk there of using a used truck and trailer and something going wrong, getting an out of service, increasing the insurance and maintenance cost on those things. Uh, just think about that kind of stuff. You can either make it a payment and have less risk of getting an out of service or something like that because of lights or brakes or leaks and stuff like that. So I would definitely look at these pricings. Weigh out what a loan and interest would be actually costing you versus the risk of having a truck and trailer sit until something's fixed, a tow bill, increased insurance premiums, when you do have those violations. I'd like to mention, I'm sure if you watch the Bulk Loads podcast, our new Semi Sam book, Pumpkin Harvest, is out as well. Listening to a podcast today about some spooky stories about truckers. So we'd love to hear some spooky tales for the Halloween here. If you've got anything, email those in. Let us know. We'd love to hear those stories and maybe even get a hold of you and have you tell those to us. Uh, you know, you have any spooky encounters or interesting, unexplained things? It's all very interesting. If you have anything else, let us know and have a wonderful Halloween.